es en un plano de telaraña donde construimos nuestro hogar. Pise la giromante cuando vaya.
Hi, hello, and hola! Welcome back to our favorite mech tabletop RPG, Lancer, where today we're talking about Los Voladores, the ethereal, mysterious, highly advanced interstellar traders, and one of the few factions with access to ready FTL, or shipboard FTL. Keeping with that, or not the FTL part of it, but they are mysterious, like capital M mysterious. There's very little actually known about them, and they like to keep it that way. But their general gist is trying to stay out of everything. They don't really pick any of the big sides on the galactic stage, except for one case earlier. We'll touch that in the history. Los Voladores are pacifist, highly advanced nomadic space traders, and always in those suits. Always. You never see them outside of it, or at least no one outside of Los Voladores has seen anyone outside of a suit. And it's not just the suit that makes them mysterious, it's also their height or their physical stature. They're very thin, tall, and I mean, compare it to the height of these other people put next to it. Or them. Though under some of the theories could be in it. But that's tall. That's very tall. Leading to various rumors of maybe they grew on like some high gravity or slight gravity world. It's all the space flight before artificial gravity. A distant cousin of humanity splitting off early on, even before the 10. Or maybe just aliens, just hiding. Plenty of strange stories and theories and just no one really knowing. Rumors. Quite personalized. I mean, there's the example of, you know, the base Voladore example and then one in the long rim or the cover of the long rim. But then you also have this one, also from the long rim. Yeah, those suits can get quite strange. But to clear up something before actually going into history, why I consider them one of the major galactic powers and not the Albatross. Galactic powers isn't the best way to put it, maybe state actors, galactic states. Even though they're nomadic, they have some kind of central authority. The big difference is they have an actual political tie to Union. They have an embassy on CRADLE. The Albatross don't. And they can pull their own military weight. Not necessarily in large numbers, but in very deadly weaponry. And mercenaries. They might be pacifists, but there's some limits they are willing to cross, and before that point, they have mercenaries to do the painful part for them. But to their history, we don't have their perspective. We only have it from Union's perspective. So back to Union and First Committee's first expansion period. Heading out into the stars, briefly setting up colonies or reconnecting with old ones, and strange reports are coming in of some kind of other interstellar vessel. Another group that had managed to connect or go in between these different new galactic powers or fledgling colonies. Supposedly peaceful. So they sent out a Farfield team. Farfield teams are expeditions similar in the Star Trek sense of like exploration and diplomacy. Farfield Team 1683, led by Dr. Oberon Sterling, managed to make contact with one of these vessels, and actually ends up making diplomatic ties back to Union. And upon first inspection, they're labeled as a stateless pre-fall society that's separated from all of humanity during the fall, or before the fall. However, that description, the more they learned, kind of faltered, because originally they thought it was just this one small fleet of ships, and that quickly changed. Part of that change was some kind of connection or embassy to a place called Hightower, or position called Hightower. Loose central authority or capital, or at least representative for the Voladores. So even though they're separated into a bunch of these nomadic family groups or structures, they're all tied back or have some kind of authority within Hightower that they listen to, as far as we know. But with these diplomatic ties set up, the Voladores begin trading throughout all of new fledgling Union space, with their ships even appearing directly above CRADLE, bringing in bounty of technology, material from across the galaxy, and most importantly, survey data. Survey data of habitable worlds that for some reason they never colonized. They had easy access to find it, travel there, and instantly come back and just gave the information away, or traded it. This is another plus in Union's circle, another thing backing them and helping for their push for expansion. And where I said that the Voladores were already kinda taking sides, namely because the other galactic power around at the time, the Carrican Trade Baronies, Los Voladores didn't really trust them. They preferred to trade freely with First Com Union and the territories under it. However, as the fledgling hegemony began to turn towards SecCom, or Second Committee, under its unification campaign, they deemed the Voladores as a part of that. So harassing of ships, attempted capture, all culminating in one attempted boarding by a deniable asset group, the Vanguard Security. And they actually made it on board. They managed to breach a ship, but not take control of it. And after that point, the Voladores just vanished from space. Union space. They vanished from Union space. Anywhere in the hegemony. Just vanished for a good chunk of time up until now. Like, modern timeline. Not even after like, oh, Third Com's in charge, we'll come back. Hundreds of years after. It's only now there are reports again off on the periphery in the diaspora that they're beginning to think that the hegemony is safe or that they can come back and trade. And even though none of them have come back to CRADLE, diplomatic ties have been opened up again. Potentially. Again, don't have a lot of information. That's their history. That's the bits of it we get, at least. through the perception of union and the hegemony. But now this mysterious force is back. This mysterious pacifist traders, these nomadic groups, and really advanced in tech. So now that the history's done, we're going to talk about just the things we actually know, the little bits and pieces here or there. So first, the embassy on Cradle. It's entirely automated. There are not Los Voladores just actively stationed there. Entirely automated, leading to just a single console that you can attempt to contact high ground. And it's never guaranteed. And not only is it never guaranteed, Union doesn't know how they pick who represents. They switch people by some unknown means. But apparently acts as some central hub or authority or communication base for the other different MATRIAS. And to the MATRIAS, that is how they organize themselves. These MATRIAS are coalitions of family units that are spread across either one trade ship or multiple small Voladores trade ships. These small nomadic pockets and groups that then travel and trade. Each of these is led by a matriarchal council of elders, who are responsible for the decisions involving the entire trade ship and the different bits of temporal logging. Oh, and they're not just matriarchal in their council, they're also matrilineal as a society, or family structure. It's believed that these matrias are a very conservative bunch, but outside of not being able to actually examine what's going on between just one of them, let alone all of them. Though it's pretty safe to bet that no one can actually join a matria from the outside. Los Voladores, Los Voladores. But to those trade ships they occupy, they are an all-in-one suite, and are large. Both a habitat, a workshop, being able to take in raw resources and manufacture on the ship, and an inbuilt marketplace between the individual families and for anyone they invite on board. A lot of them with their own internal bazaar structure. Though not all of their ships are like this, some smaller matrias or assumed less influential or less wealthy are seen flying around in Union designed freighters. Customized, but initially based off or using Union designs. And while I mentioned they were pacifist earlier, and still are, they have mercenaries. In fact, are quite commonly associated with Spari mercenaries, sometimes kept on board or just traveling alongside the Matrias. And the pacifism's only the Los Voladores, which they are also willing to cross at a certain point. But before that, the enforcement is the mercenaries' job. There's an example of some of them from the Baja Mesa, and they're all just casually kitted out in Atlas gear. So well-paying merc work. But one of their big shticks is trading technology. But in their hesitant ways, it's trading technology and diplomacy. Diplomacy in the fact of acting as a third party between these interstellar powers, able to send messages or at least get things across to someone quick enough. And you gotta be a pretty good diplomat to not get shot at right away when just randomly appearing above a planet or on a planet. And of this trade, it's sometimes raw resources, but rarely in the bulk of IPSN or the trade baronies. Primarily strange relics, collector's items, and in particular, technology. Either experimental, advanced, or just unknown and strange. Except their own. They don't trade their own. They keep that for themselves. Unless it's something that they studied and deemed either worthless or dangerous, and then they'll hand it over to you. There's always exceptions that prove the rule. Maybe in that case. And another strange bit, tying back to that technology maybe, while Los Voladores are incredibly sparse to be found anywhere in the diaspora even, being a very rare occasion, commonly being misconstrued for aliens or strange myths of such, they do however commonly appear above worlds or systems with pre-fall tech or colonies, for some reason. Though, on to said tech, not just the pre-fall kind, though maybe the pre-fall kind, what the Voladores have, which is just one of my favorite bits about them. The reason that they do interstellar trade and just can screw off away from Union and still be able to get somewhere faster than them. They have shipborne FTL. They have shipboard FTL. They don't have to rely on the mega projects or system of gates that Union has, and their only competition in the FTL field is the firmament manipulation that the On use. This is seen through evidence of the fact that, again, they don't have to rely on the gate system, they just disappeared for hundreds of years, and could get away, always. In the case of the Long Rim, it's the Baja Mesa being able to just beat you to stations ahead of you, or go back and then back again ahead of you. But in particular, it's the good old Sunzi, an experimental Harrison Armory chassis using tech either stolen or traded or gained from the Los Voladores in some way. It's rumored to be stolen, but it could have been traded, namely because they have documents and what seems like Los Voladores talking to them. In particular, this line because of the meaning. But in either case, the things the Sunzi can do, yes, that's just an FTL engine strapped to its head, or where a head would be, anatomically at least. They really did just take a chassis with various bits of Blinkgate meshing that they took from the Napoleon, and then they just strapped a reverse-engineered FTL engine to its head. And it's not just a mech they're testing this equipment on. If you're following Battlefleet, they're also testing this on ships. Not quite full FTL, at least not over the distances they want, but still significantly useful in a battlefield scenario or fleet scenario. So one, FTL of some kind, proper shipboard FTL. And another key one, Stable artificial gravity. Yes, there's spin gravity, but I mean the classic sci-fi, there's a down on the ship. The evidence for this one is within the long rim again, with one of the bases of a syndicate being within an old trade ship of the Voladores, and the gravity is still stable in the Bazaar. Then you can get into some of the more vaguer elements, like their life support systems, but potentially their medicine, just stuff we have no idea about. The fact that they have so much high-end technology or experimental stuff or strange anomalies that they're just willing to trade or get rid of, having discovered, made, or keeping the best for themselves in either case. And they know the value of this. They are very, very timid on how they deal with trade. Again, the mercenaries, the general pacifist ways, but if you steal their technology, they're coming after you. Now listen, they're willing to find a diplomatic solution or trade to most things. Their technology, however, that's it, or themselves, their secrets, their MATRIAS, all of that is off limits. Off limits. Well-armed and equipped sparring mercenaries will be coming after you. Due to that trade and paranoia, they don't use the Omninet. Most of their communication is short range, well, stellar short range, and then just meeting or trading in person. They don't have all this licenses stuff, they just deal in the physical. You are physically coming aboard their ship into a bazaar to trade with them, face to face, or face to mask. But they're also not just this vague, distant etheric thing. I mean, they are, especially in most of your games. But within the long rim, you find one. There is a trade ship you bump into, multiple times, potentially. The Baja Mesa, and we get a description of a Voladore ship. Just under a kilometer wide, half of that fore to aft, and forming a single wing silhouette. And after hearing that single wing silhouette part, I just thought it's the Mother World ship cut in half. It might not be, but I don't know. But yeah, that's Los Voladores. We just don't have much of them at all. They're just a mystery again, similar to Ra and some of the rumors about them. There's plenty of rumors about the Voladores. Instead of being this scary galactic boogeyman, they're peaceful traders. They're not necessarily trying to unify, conquer, form a hegemony, forcing alliances, just trading technology, materials, living within their own circles, giving out different survey data of colonizable worlds, actively helping. Or at least to their benefit of trade. As far as we know though, again, we don't know that much. And that is alarming. Not in the sense they're particularly malicious, another boogeyman waiting to happen. They'll defend themselves, they'll hunt you down if you've wronged them, but they have a track record lasting thousands of years. They're just interested in this trade, going around, travel, sticking to their MATRIAS and high ground, wanting to keep the rest of the galaxy a safe distance away, but just close enough to be a part of it. No, the true worry comes with their tech. What they represent, what they stand for, what they stood for to SETCOM. As while they share some of their bounty, they keep some of it held away, and with the galactic powers, that is a holy grail that will change the game. Thank you for watching the video on Los Voladores. Hopefully I pronounced that right. But yeah, we don't have much to work off of. In some ways a benefit. You can use it for multiple storytelling opportunities. They're a wide, blank canvas with some structure, with some shapes and borders that you can fill in on the galactic stage. And yes, while there's some more that went in with the Los Voladores within the Sunzi, I'm saving that for that license. It's a bit more particular to it. You know, you kind of spoiled the whole thing if you just did the license here. But it's here I actually want to call out in the comments, what are some MATRIAS that you would design, or some speculation you have of the Los Voladores, or various ways they've appeared in your games? And then another addendum, how much of an impact do you think the tech of the Sunzi and their shipborne version of it is going to have on the galactic powers? Currently just loosely being experimented on within the long rim or distant parts of the diaspora, trying to keep it away from other competition or union. But anyway, thank you again for watching, a thank you to my patrons, and buenos dias.